Hola estudiantes, hoy quiero hablarles del uso de los mandatos informales y también repasar los mandatos formales que nosotros aprendimos en otros capítulos. Vamos a comenzar con la presentación. A los mandatos informales, como les hemos dicho, utiliza el comando to. Y vamos a ver las distintas conjugaciones para los mandatos afirmativos y los negativos, ya que son distintas. So let's take a look at the formal and informal commands. So the formal commands, do you remember we have seen that before? And we use it when we want to express respect to someone that you want to be really polite, like your parents or your grandparents or people that you don't know, your boss. The informal commands, the ones that we're gonna mainly talk about today, are used with people that we feel really comfortable, like can be friends or family members that you know really well. So for formal commands, and this is a review we have seen before, how do we do those formal commands? Remember, those are for the used form, and we use the root of the your form in the present. Okay, so you're gonna get this stem from the your form in the present. And remember, this is really important, especially with irregular verbs. So when you take that root, then you're gonna add a vowel, and it will depend on if it's a verb that ends on R, then you're gonna add an E, and if it's a verb that ends on er or ir, we're gonna add an A. So for those commands, remember, just get the root and then you're gonna choose the vowel depending on the verb. And if we wanna do a plural formal command for ustedes, we're gonna add an N at the end. So for example, verbo poner is irregular in the present. Yo pongo, tú pones, él pone. Do you remember? That's why it's important to take the yo form. The yo form is yo pongo. So we're gonna take the root, drop the O, and then now, because es el verbo poner, we're gonna add an A. So we put yo ponga. Y para el plural, we're gonna add an N. And we're gonna have pongan. If it's a negative command, we're just gonna have the no. We're gonna say no ponga or no pongan if it's a plural command. So that's it. This is what we have seen of formal commands. Now let's talk about informal commands. So informal commands, we have to address different ways to conjugate. One is in the affirmative form. For that one, we're going to use the third person singular of the verb in the present. For example, and this also have an accent. Cerrar. Yo cierro, tú cierras, él cierra. Remember, steam change. So this is why it's important also to conjugate a verb. Because if there are irregular steam changing verbs, you need to remember that steam change when you're gonna conjugate your informal command. So for cerrar, es cierra. Yo cierro, tú cierras, él cierra. Para jugar, yo juego, tú juegas, él juega. Okay, so those are gonna be our commands. For example, Antonio, you, Antonio, cierra la puerta. So instead of conjugating the second person singular, cierras la puerta, we're gonna use the command cierra la puerta. Let's keep going. For the negative two commands, we're gonna take the first person singular of the verb in the present tense, and like the polite command, it's the same form, but we're gonna drop the O and switch the endings and add an S. So let's take a look at this. So for affirmative commands, that's it. You just have to remember third person singular, and we're gonna conjugate it that way for the to form. For the negative command, it's a little bit different. You have to take the first person singular of that verb in the present, and then you're gonna drop the O and switch the ending. So it's basically like you are doing a polite command, the same thing that we learned about a polite command, but then you're gonna add an S. So no cantes, no comas. So it's the same way the negative command as you create the polite command, but with an S. What happens when we have to do the plural? You saw on the polite commands we add an N. In the informal commands for the affirmative plural, we're just going to take the infinitive of the verb and take the R out and add a D. For example, hablar, hablad. Comer, comed. Ir, id. The pronunciation, we don't do the D that much. We pronounce some speakers like a Z, id, comed, or hablad. But the proper would be hablad, comed, id. But expect to hear a different pronunciation, not just a D sound. So that's how we do it. That's pretty simple for a plural. And the negative plural commands, then we need to use the vosotros form in the subjunctive. For example, no hablar, no habléis. Vosotros no habléis. Comer, vosotros no comáis. Escribir, no escribáis. So this informal command, as you see, is easy, but at the same time it's a little bit difficult because you have a different form for the plural and a different form from the negative, either the negative singular or negative plural. So that's when it gets confusing. Also, you have to remember the formal commands. That's a little bit challenging, but you will get to master these rules. Now let's see, there's an irregular commands with the verbs like poner, to put, salir, to go out, venir, to come, decir, to tell, tener, to have, ir, to go, hacer, to do, ser, verbo to be, no? So there is regular. Let's see how to conjugate. Poner, pon. Salir, sal. Venir, ven. Decir, di. Tener, ten. Ir, ve. Hacer, haz. Ser, sé. You have to remember this once again. Flashcards will help you with these conjugations. And let's see some examples of these irregulares in affirmative. Ven a mi casa, come to my home. Sal con nosotros, come out with us. Ve al cine, go to the movies. Pon tu ropa en el ropero, put your robe on the closet. Di la verdad, tell the truth. Haz la tarea, do the homework. Ten paciencia, have patience. Sé buen estudiante, be a good student. So, as I was telling you, it gets confusing when you throw all of these different rules for polite and for informal commands. But I love it that in your book you have a summary of commands. You have it on the page 434, and if you take a look, you have the ustedes, the polite form, the informal, tú, and this means negative command and a plural command. And then you have, an affirmative command, and then you have the plural in negative and affirmative. So this 4 column is for the informal commands, this column is for the formal, and then depending if it's negative, they put it entre parentheses, and they say no hablen, no hable, depending if it's plural, right? The plural with the N and the no. And then you have all the change of the verbs. For the informal, tú, negativo, las conjugaciones. For the informal, tú en affirmative. And then vosotros en negativo. And vosotros in an affirmative sentence or command. So I will print this one and work with that at home. And I hope this was helpful for you, and I look forward to any questions you may have.